Yo, what's going on everyone? Z Karma here, back with another Cyberpunk video, and as promised, here is the first video of me explaining and going over and testing every single skill in this game. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on the Reflexes tree, which is what I have at level 20 right now, so I might as well focus on this one. If you find this video helpful or informative, feel free to drop a like, and if you want to subscribe, you can do so as well. So starting off, let's go over this tree. So first, we're going to go over Stunt Jock. This one unlocks new ways to exit vehicles. Of course, you can double tap F to jump out or hold F to slide out. And you can also draw and fire weapons during these stunts. So I went ahead and tested this. Jump out works perfectly. Slide out, you cannot draw and fire a weapon during this stunt unless you have this perk, Multitasker, which allows you to shoot while sliding and vaulting. So I don't know if this is just worded wrong, but you do need to have this other perk unlocked so you can be able to shoot your gun while you're sliding out of the car. It also says while driving, there's no bullet spread penalty for movement, and there's minus for 50% bullet spread overall. So this is for you people that enjoy having those vehicle battles and stuff. You can go ahead and do this. Next, I want to go over Ready, Rested, Reloaded. This perk has 2 levels, and this only affects assault rifles and SMGs. The first level, I'm going to say it right now, does not work. It's supposed to reduce your stamina cost for shooting with assault rifles and SMGs. So in this game, I'm just going to go over it really quick. When you shoot your gun, look at the top right of my screen, or top left actually. You see that yellow bar right there? That is my stamina, and that's depleted, okay? And I just wanted to show that off because there's going to be other stamina things over here in the future. I don't want to have to explain that. And after I tested this, I noticed that it was taking the same amount of bullets from different assault rifles and SMGs to deplete my stamina fully. So due to my testing, I gotta declare this level 1 perk not working. However, level 2 works perfectly. It increases your reload speed by 30% when above 50% stamina. So as you can see in this comparison, it's pretty noticeable. You don't even have to watch the comparison. As soon as you activate it, you'll notice your reload speed increasing, again, as long as your stamina is above 50%. Next, we have Mind Over Matter. This one only affects assault rifles and SMGs once again, and it reduces recoil when aiming. So if you're aiming down sights and you shoot, you can lower your recoil, and as you can see, the difference is here on the screen. Moving on, we have Tunnel Vision. This one increases your effective range and accuracy by 20%, again with only assault rifles and SMGs. Accuracy we're going to ignore for now because that's super hard to test, but what we want here is the effective range. Effective range is just the range at which your weapon still does most damage. So basically in this game, the further you are away from a target, the less and less damage you start doing. So this only increases the effective range. As you can see in this little example I did, without the perk, I was doing 4 to 5 damage, and with the perk, I was doing 7 to 8 damage. I'm working with little numbers here, but with better weapons at high level enemies, this could be a good difference and very helpful in these long range fights. Next up, we want to move on to Spice of Life. So this one, again, only affects assault rifles and SMGs, and at first, it increases your weapon swap speed by 50%. And this is pretty noticeable as well, you can see in the example I'm putting here. And it also decreases your bullet spread by 30% briefly after swapping weapons. So as you can see in this example, without swapping into this assault rifle, I'm shooting it. And if you take a look at the little reticles, you see they open up quite a bit, covering this whole square, this block square at the wall. But when I activate the perk, those reticles don't spread as much, which reduces that bullet spread. Moving on, we have Sharpshooter. So this one has 3 levels. At first, it will increase your aim speed by 15%. And here's the little side-by-side. And we're going to skip level 2 for now because it's weapon handling. Honestly, I've never known what it does in any game I play. But level 3 is what's important. Each successful shot grants a stack of Sharpshooter, and you get 7% stamina regen rate for 2 seconds per stack, and this can stack 7 times, which means you can have a 49% increase to your stamina regen rate. And as you can see in this example, I'll show it, my stamina regens really fast whenever I have those 7 stacks of Sharpshooter, and you can see the stacks of Sharpshooter at the top left of the screen. Next up, we have Shoot to Chill, and it only affects assault rifles and SMGs. So this one says minus 7% cost for automatic weapons per stack of Sharpshooter, And this one, unlike this other one over here, minus 10% stamina cost, this one actually works. I was using way more bullets to fully deplete my stamina whenever I actually use the perk. Next up, we have Spray and Pray, and this one again only affects assault rifles and SMGs, and it reduces stamina cost for hip firing by 10%. And again, this one, unlike this other one, actually worked a little bit. I was using about one less bullet. It wasn't even that crazy of a difference, but there was a difference there. Next up, we're going to use Gun Dancer. Again, only affects assault rifles and SMGs, and aiming no longer slows movement, and it also allows you to shoot while vaulting. So if you see in this mini example I did here, when you walk forward and aim, you slow down, and you can also not shoot while vaulting. But with this perk active, you can walk normal speed and aim without slowing down, and you can also shoot while vaulting. Next up, we have Practice Makes Perfect. This one provides a plus 7% crit chance and crit damage per stack of Sharpshooter, so max would be a 49% increase to both of these stats. So let's test it. In this example, this gun's normal hits are doing a minimum of 32 damage, and the critical hits are doing 52 damage. So let's do some quick maths. That is because if you go to your character stats, and you go here, you can see that my crit damage is at 65%. And a 65% increase to the minimum 32 damage gives you 52, which is what we're getting. So now we're going to get 7 stacks, and that provides me with the minimum of 68 damage. So now, if I get 7 stacks of Sharpshooter, I should get an additional 49% increase to my crit damage. So instead of 65% increase to my crit damage, it would be 114% increase. And a 114% increase to 32 is what gives me the 68 crit damage. So yeah, that's basically it. And for crit chance, it works the same. It will just give you crits more often. And this definitely worked. I did notice I was getting way more crits and more often than without the perk. Next up, we have Salt in the Wound. And again, this one only affects assault rifles. And shooting the same target a 7th consecutive time deals bonus damage equal to 100% of the total damage of the preceding shots. So let me show an example in case some of you are confused here. In this example, my first 6 shots did a total of 242 damage. The 7th shot did 242 plus normal damage, which gave me 276. So yep, this perk is awesome. Next up, we're going to go over this one, Submachine Gun Fun, which only affects SMGs, and swapping submachine guns is faster and automatically reloads them. And it also increases your fire rate by 22% after swapping to an SMG. Normal reloading will end the effect. So you can basically infinitely use your SMGs until you fully run out of ammo. Every time you switch out of it, it automatically reloads it. There's no time it takes to reload, it automatically reloads. When you switch out, it reloads it. So switch to another SMG, you shoot, switch to the other one, keep shooting. It's kind of crazy, to be honest. Moving on, we have Slippery, which I will not be going over. This is supposed to make it harder for enemies to hit you, but as much as I tested, I did not notice a difference with not many perks. But I'm not gonna lie, once I started using more perks that increase my agility and dashing and all that, I did notice more of a difference. Honestly, I don't know if that just happens because I'm moving faster or if this perk is actually helping, because it's at the bottom of all the movement perks. So I can't really say anything, but you gotta pick it to move on, so you might as well. Moving on, we have Muscle Memory, and this one allows you to reload weapons while sprinting, sliding, and vaulting. And this one works, there's no need to show it off. You'll be able to reload your weapons while doing all these things. We also have Power Slide, which increases slide distance, and this one works wonders. You basically slide 3 times as much that you would normally, so I definitely recommend using this one. And we also have Multitasker, which allows you to shoot while sprinting, sliding, and vaulting, and this also works, no need to show it off. Then we also have this perk, Parkour, which is a little weird. It's supposed to increase your vaulting and climbing speed, and it does. I tested it, and the difference is very, very tiny. So if you plan on doing a lot of this, a lot of parkour, jumping over buildings, vaulting, all that stuff, it could be worth it. It'll make like some difference in seconds, but it's if you do it a lot. If you're just going to vault over something once, you're not even going to notice it. My honest opinion, I would not pick this right now until they make it more noticeable. Next up, we have Dash. This one uses less stamina for dodging, which is absolutely true. Every time you dodge, you'll use less stamina. At level 2, it unlocks the ability to use dash, and dashing replaces dodging, allows you to cover more ground and automatically vault over low obstacles. So this one's pretty cool. You do dash quite a distance, which is awesome. And for you new people, if you want to dash, you just double click one of your arrow keys or a direction, you double click it, or you can use the left control to perform a dash. You gotta click left control at the same time as your arrow key. Moving on, we're gonna go over Cant Touch this. This increases your mitigation chance by 100%, and it also helps reduce incoming damage by current mitigation strat. So let's look at the stat screen right now. My mitigation chance is currently at 10%. This perk increases this by 100%. It doesn't mean, in this case, we're not going to add 100 to this because it would be 110%. That would mean that I get mitigation every time. That's impossible. So you increase the 10% by 100%, which gives you a 20% mitigation chance. And my mitigation strength is at 59%. This means that while dashing, 20% of the time I get hit, incoming damage will be reduced by 59%. And this was such a pain to test, but yes, it does work. I do not have an example to show you, but I promise you it does work. I will be showing another example on mitigation stuff, and you'll see the difference there. Moving on, we have Steady Grip, which allows you to shoot while dashing. Pretty self-explanatory. This does work. There's no need to show it off. Then we have Mad Dash, which increases your dash range towards enemies by 100%. This only works while in combat, but it does work, okay? So basically you just dash a longer distance when you do it towards enemies. And then Mean Streak, I will never notice this ever happening. It's supposed to increase your stamina by 40% after neutralizing an enemy while dashing. And this one was impossible to test. I never saw any increase to my stamina at all. So maybe I need to use some sort of weapon that will allow me to get perfect kills while dashing. But at the moment, I cannot confidently say that this works. Moving on, we have Air Dash, which has 3 levels. At level 1, it reduces dash stamina cost, which this does work. At level 2, it increases your dash speed. This does not work. I tested multiple times, did side by side, slow them down. They're virtually the same dash speed. And at level 3, it unlocks the ability to dash midair. So level 2 doesn't work, but you need level 3 to move on in the tree. So if you need this perk or something, you are going to need to go all 3 levels. But this one's pretty cool. Level 3, it is worth it. It unlocks the ability to dash midair, and it does exactly what it says. Also, I wanted to add that if you pair this Air Dash level 3 with double jump cyberware, holy crap, you're flying. Anyway, let's move on. Next, we have this perk over here, Aerial Combat, which gives you more control over your character when you're midair. So I'm just going to show a quick example here live. So if you jump forward and you try to go this way, look where I end up. Almost in the same exact spot. Try again. I can't go further down there. And now with the perk active, I can do this. Look where I end up. You get more control over your character basically. Like I can even change direction like this, so it's pretty cool. Next we have Aerodynamic, which increases your mitigation strength by 30% when in midair. And you're probably wondering how I tested this, so it's pretty cool. Look, check this out. So what I did first is I got this enemy to shoot me without being midair. He usually does like 16 to 17 damage. In my stats, my mitigation strength is currently 59%, which means that when I mitigate damage 10% of the time, the damage taken will be 59% less. And as you see in this example, at one point I only get hit for 7 damage, which basically is a damage mitigation taking place. Now all I have to do is get hit with damage mitigation midair. And it took me a while, but I was finally able to get hit for 2 damage, which gives me that 89% mitigation damage midair. 89% of 17 is 15, so I mitigated 15 damage and only took 2 damage. So this was a pretty cool perk to test. It did take me a little bit of thinking on how to do it, but I eventually got it. Okay, next we have this perk here, Karensikov, and this says it only affects assault rifles and SMGs, but it does not. It works with other weapons. As long as they're ranged weapons, you cannot use it with melee weapons. Before we proceed, in this one, in order to use it, you need the Karensikov cyberware implant. which basically slows down time when you aim into an enemy while sliding, jumping, or doing some type of movement. So when you activate the Karensikov midair, it keeps you suspended in the air and extends the duration. Here's an example. Without it activated, my character slows down midair but does not get suspended. It just goes, keeps moving forward. But as I activate the perk, you can see I actually get suspended in place and it lasts a bit longer. And of course, if you noticed, I use a pistol, which means that it does not only work with assault rifles and SMGs. Next, I want to go over Tailwind, which is a nice one. Air dashes replenish stamina and they do not consume any. So as you see here, I depleted my stamina and did an air dash, and it's just replenishing my stamina, so it's pretty cool. You're never gonna run out. Then we have Lead and Steel. This one is super simple. At level 1, it will reduce stamina cost for attacks with blades, and this one does work. I already tested it. Level 2 unlocks the ability to block incoming projectiles with blades. This consumes stamina, and of course this works as well. It doesn't block every single projectile, but it does block some. Then we have the Bullet Deflect, which aside from blocking the bullets, it deflects them towards the enemies, but you gotta look at the enemy. Wherever your reticle is pointing, that's where it's gonna go to. This only works when your stamina is above 33%. You can also well time your block just before being hit, and it increases the damage you deal with deflected bullets. Going along with this one, we have Bullet Time. Whenever time is slowed, Bullet Deflect does not consume any stamina, and deflections automatically hit enemies for crit damage. And as you can see here in this example, it definitely works. It's pretty cool. Next up, we have Seeing Double. It says it only works with blades and it increases damage and stun chance with counterattacks. Doesn't really explain how much it increases this by, but I did notice a difference when I did counterattacks. I was doing more damage. So from my limited testing, I was able to determine that the increase in damage was about a 30 to 40% increase. And most of the time you end up getting critical hits with Seeing Double, so you do even more damage. Moving on, we have a perk called the Flash Thunderclap. This one only affects blades as well, and when performing strong attacks, you now automatically leap into enemies within range, which is also really cool. And these leap attacks can also be performed from midair and deal additional damage that scales with the distance of the leap. I would say this perk is one of those that you must have for these blade builds, definitely. Next, we have a finisher. This is Blade Runner. This further decreases stamina cost for attacks with blades. So this actually does work. I tested that. For level 2, it increases your attack speed with blades by 20%. You can do a quick test yourself and you'll be able to notice a difference as well with that, so that does work. And at level 3, it unlocks a blade finisher. You press F when an enemy's health is low, and it also restores 25% health when you do a finisher. And I tested this multiple times. It definitely works. Really awesome finisher. Moving on, we have Going the Distance and Flash of Steel, which I'm going to test together because they both get activated with the finisher. Going the Distance increases finisher range. So as you can see, I got this enemy ready to be finished and I back up a little bit. And this is about the longest range that I can get him at. But as soon as I activate the perk, I can actually do double that range, so I can back up a bit more and I can still use the finisher. Then we also have Flash of Steel activated. As you see, as I do the finisher, there is an icon that appears next to my health bar. That means that I can move faster and use my blade faster. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't notice a huge difference. A 25% increase should be pretty noticeable. So honestly, I don't know. Here's a side by side of me using my blade, and let me know if you see a difference. Moving on, we have Opportunistic, which makes enemies that are affected by stagger, stun, blinding, or bleeding more susceptible to finishers. And this is pretty simple to understand. It just, you know how you have to get enemies low on health? You don't have to get them that low to use a finisher on them, basically. So as you can see in this example, this enemy is not ready to be finished. However, if I throw this flash grenade at him, he will be ready to be finished. And you see the little icon next to his health bar that he's flashed. As soon as that goes away, I won't be able to finish him anymore until I get him lower on health. And moving on to the final perk of the day, this one's called Slaughterhouse. And again, this only affects blades. All attacks, counterattacks, and deflected bullets apply bleeding, which increases dismemberment chance. and that part does work. Every single attack does apply bleeding. It can be counterattack, deflect the bullets, anything you do with blades, they'll bleed, which is pretty cool for these blade builds. And also, bleeding cannot kill enemies, but does make them more susceptible to finishers. So, as we mentioned, this perk over here, Opportunist, will make a bleeding enemy more susceptible to finishers. So, it does work pretty well. And it also increases your stamina by 20% from dismemberments, which also works. So yeah, that was basically it for this video. We have covered every single perk in the Reflexes attribute. Hope you guys found this video helpful or informative. If you did, feel free to drop a like on the video. And if you really enjoyed this type of content, feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.